To extra depth now on the case of convicted murderer David Leonard Wood. As originally scheduled, by this time today, he would have received the lethal injection, but a last-minute stay of execution was ordered on Tuesday. As the latest court actions progress, ABC 7 is taking a look back at the coverage of the case over the decades. In the year 2000, longtime former ABC 7 anchor Gary Warner traveled to death row and the execution chamber in Livingston and Huntsville, Texas, to speak with Wood, already imprisoned for years after being found guilty in 1992 of killing 6 El Paso women and girls. Let's flash back.
Time was when the entire population of condemned inmates in Texas fit in these 8 cells as late as the 1960s. Now the state needs this new prison in Livingston to house more than 400 inmates sentenced to execution. It's no longer death row, it's Death Village.
We get 1 hour out of our cells a day, and for the rest of the day we read and write, and that's it. We're in a cell with no TV, no contact with anybody else.
For David Leonard Wood, convicted in El Paso's Northeast Desert murders in 1992, Livingston is the 3rd incarnation of death row that he has called home. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals has rejected his appeal once so far, and he has another pending. But if investigations by a couple of major newspapers are accurate, Wood will get rejected again. The Chicago Tribune, for example, reports that dozens of inmates in Texas have been executed, although their defenses were marred by unreliable evidence, disbarred or suspended defense attorneys, and questionable psychiatric testimony. And the Fort Worth Star-Telegram says the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals has rarely granted new trials in capital cases, despite a state law that says inmates can seek a new trial if new evidence appears supporting their innocence. Shifting the focus to the courts has kept the death penalty controversial, even though Texas no longer executes by hanging or by electrocution. Texas adopted lethal injection as its method of execution in 1977. Right here is where it's done, and right here is the center of a national debate. Make that international. This is a German television news crew trying to figure out why something like 70% of Texans support the death penalty.
Pioneer roughness, life has another meaning. It's a little bit old Wild West.
But the difficulty with the death penalty in Texas as it exists today is that there's no surety that the death penalty will in fact be imposed. We have inmates sitting on death row for 10, 12, 13 years.
I've been locked up a lot of years in my life.
8 years in the case of El Pasoan David Leonard Wood. Texas Attorney General John Cornyn points out that death penalty cases take time thanks to an automatic appeal to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals and eventually reviews by 22 judges all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm Gary Warner, ABC 7.